Well, hello and welcome to Literature by Women, the American Experience. This is a short overview of our course for this summer, Summer 3, 2019. I'm Dr. Litton, and this is officially English 3073, Section 50, or you could be registered for the Women's Studies 3073, Section 50. This is a cross-listed course, which means that we will have the same content, basically, maybe a little bit of an alternative in terms of assignments and things of that nature, but a cross-listed course, which means you can take it for either English credit or Women's Studies credit. We'll run for about 5 weeks, beginning on July the 8th, and we'll have our final exam due at the very last moment possible. We'll give you all the way through the end of the term, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later on. Let me begin with a course overview. Everybody should have access to the syllabus. It was posted in an announcement on Canvas and then subsequently emailed to everyone. So hopefully everyone has texts. And one little correction here. At the bottom of the first page, it said we were going to go and read women writers from the 1600s through the Civil War. No, we're going to read it all the way up through today. Don't know why I put that in there. Maybe it was an earlier, as I was designing the class, maybe I wanted to cut off a little earlier, but I thought we should throw in some modern works. People like some modern writers as well as some of the older stuff that can be a little harder to read. So let me go over a few facts about the syllabus, and if you don't have the syllabus in front of you, now is a good time to sort of pull it up if you want to stop this video and pull it up so that we can go through it a bit. I'm not going to put it on the screen here. I'm just going to expect everybody to have it available. So if you want to pause, you can do that. But assuming that you're back with us or that you had it in front of you to begin with, to go over some contact information, my office is in Stoddard Hall 104, and I keep very regular hours over there. I am the Executive Director of Honors Programs at Texas Woman's University, so that's my day job. I do this basically in the summer because I enjoy teaching American literature, and I enjoy teaching literature by women, and I do this online so that I can put in the 9 to 5, or 8 to 5, or longer, as the honors director during the summer. But that's where my office is, over where the honors offices are in Stoddard Hall, not CFO, in case you want to drop by. And that extension there, 2337, is the honors office. So don't be thrown by that. If you need to call, don't be thrown by it. One thing that I do, and this is important, I want everybody to notice this, I've got this twice on the front page of the syllabus, and that is, I use, for my online classes, I use my Yahoo email account. And that's because, as the Director of Honors, I get thousands of emails. I mean, just thousands of them. And this way, if you send it to my Yahoo, I get so much less email in my Yahoo, I'm able to see it and it comes to the surface. It doesn't get buried, in other words, right? And I don't want your emails to me, if you've got questions or material coming in, to get buried in all this spam and all of the email that I get for TWU. So just remember that the temptation may be to use my twu.edu email, but please use the Yahoo email. That will be a lot faster response for you. I keep office hours first thing in the morning from 8:30 to about 9:30 Monday through Friday, but that's not the only time you can reach me, but it's probably the best time you can reach me. One note about email is there are quite a few people in both of these classes, and if I'm not careful, all I'll end up doing is answering email all day. So we're going to have some ground rules, okay? And this is to help you and to help me both. What I need everybody to do in the class is to make sure that if you've got an email question or something that you need help with, that you write a very quick email, straight to the point, no big paragraphs, just ask your question as quickly as you can. And what I do every morning, early in the morning, is I get up and I start in on the emails, and if I get way too many of them, then I don't answer them. Now this sounds cruel, but it's meant to keep me sane and you sane as well. Let's suppose I come in and I've got 30 emails from people. I don't think we have that many people in the class, but 30 emails, and I only get through about 20 of them. That means I stop. That means if you didn't get a response to your email that day, you need to send it again right away so that you're at the beginning of the queue or line the next morning, okay? It's the only way I can do it. If I don't budget my time to answer emails, then I get swamped and I can't keep up with them all, and it's all I end up doing all day. Now, that has almost never happened, okay? So if you're really brief and to the point, I'll answer the question. I don't get 30 a day, but I mean, I have gotten swamped before. On the other hand, if 20 people have the same question, I'm going to post that or send an email out to everybody answering that question. That happens every now and then too. So just try to be as straightforward as you can on it, and that would be good. Our required books, the Showalter text, that's a required text, the Rosen text, and the Morrison text. I would like for you to get those particular versions because I'll be referring to page numbers, and when we're dealing with a large anthology or with novels, paperback novels, it's just much easier for all dealing with the same page when I point out a particular quotation or a passage. The other online texts, you can just click the link and there you are. Pretty easy to find. And then on page 2, I go through the overview. What we're really exploring in the class is several questions. First of all, how and why have the voices of women writers in the U.S. manifested themselves within the literary world? That's really important because, I mean, you can study anything about American history and culture and literature, but what we're doing is we're looking specifically at women writers, right? And asking, what are some of the issues that are particular to women writers throughout the era? And I think we're going to go roughly chronologically. I think that's an interesting thing to study in and of itself because those voices changed over time, the concerns changed, but in some ways they really stayed very much the same. So we're going to be exploring that. What themes, concerns, issues were addressed in the works of these writers? Do they still resonate with us today? That's kind of an interesting question. 200 years ago, what do we have in common with people who wrote things 200 years ago? Maybe more than you think. What was the literary marketplace like for a woman writer in the early years of the nation? Something that a lot of people probably don't know about. What is a literary marketplace? Well, it's how you get your material out there and published. What was that like for women a couple hundred years ago or earlier in the country's history? And then what voices have not been heard from traditionally, and what valuable contributions might we have overlooked? Are there writers that we don't really know about or don't know enough about and probably should know more about? And can we kind of pull these folks from the sort of the lesser well-known corners of history and bring them forward and take a look and see what contributions they might have to offer? So we're going to be kind of sampling. It's going to be like Golden Corral, only a whole lot healthier, I promise you. It's going to be like a cafeteria style thing. We're going to kind of dip into some things, and you'll see some recurring themes and things of that nature. What kind of assignments are we going to have? Well, going to keep it really simple because I'll get to this in a few minutes. Under assignments in particular, we're going to have one research paper that's about 8 to 12 pages in length. That's a range. Anything shorter than 8 or more than 12, you should sweat. Anything in between there, it should be just fine. I'll give you all the guidelines for that fairly soon. Each one has to be an MLA and include a separate 50-word cover noting or discussing what you would like to do with it. Because I don't actually just assign papers just for the sake of assigning papers. I'd like to see you do something with it. Maybe you'd like to give it at a conference or a symposium. Maybe you'd like to submit it for publication somewhere. I'd like to see you do something with it. So you don't have to. I won't follow up on it, but I'd kind of like to see you. What you would do with it if you were to submit it someplace for public view. Okay, maybe it's on a website. Okay, each and every time we have a reading assignment, there will be a quiz due within 24 hours of the posting of that video. Okay, so for example, tonight I will post the video for the material for July the 8th. Now, that means that I need to receive your quiz response, and the quiz will be embedded in the video, the YouTube video that I'm going to post. And you will need to send that to me by Yahoo email, to my Yahoo, that is, no later than midnight on the 9th. So if a video officially goes up on the 8th, you have until midnight on the 9th. If it officially goes up on a Wednesday, you've got until midnight on the Thursday. That's how we do that, okay? So that means always be looking for the quiz at the end of the video, and always remember to see the video on time, do your reading in advance of watching the video, and then make sure that you turn in the quiz within 24 hours of the official post date. Now, sometimes I'll post a video a little bit early. Don't worry about that. It's whenever it is on the syllabus, right? That's when you need to look. So if you'll, we'll get there in just a moment. Now, the other thing that we're going to do is I'm going to ask each of you to submit a review of one scholarly work. I'm going to compile a list and put that out there, and these are going to be the texts that you can choose from. If you want to go outside of the list, you're going to need to give me a heads up about it in advance very quickly. So I'm going to try to post that very soon so you have time to find some texts that you could review for me. The review will be much shorter than the term paper. It'll be about 3 to 5 pages, somewhere in that range. But I'll give you some more guidelines on that very soon, all right? And then we have a final exam. It will be obviously a take-home exam, right? You're at home when you're doing this class. But I'm going to give you a bank of 5 questions. They're going to be fairly broad questions, and I'm going to ask you to respond to 2 of the 4 questions, 2 of the 4 that you're going to receive in advance. I won't let you know which 2 you can do until later on, but I'll give you a bank of 4. You won't know which 2 will be chosen from the 4 until fairly close to the exam. Then I'll finally tell you which ones you can work on. I'll send that out by email, and then you can get started on that. I'll give you the deadline for that as well. Now, the rest of all the stuff that's on the syllabus until you get to the schedule is stuff that were required by the university or the state of Texas to put in there. I highly recommend that you read it. Nevertheless, I'm not going to go over it with a fine-tooth comb. I'm simply going to say that if you'll skip to the assignments, the class schedule section, few things that you want to point that I want to point out here. Please make sure that you read all of the sections listed below in advance. That means that you need to have the material for that date read by that date. Don't wait until that day to begin reading it. Okay, so if it says on July the 8th that you need to have read Anne Bradstreet and Phyllis Wheatley, please have it read by July the 8th. Certainly by that evening, because what that means is that by that date, I'm going to be posting the lecture online for that material, and I need you to have read it prior to the posting. Okay? So sometimes I might be calling it pretty close. It might be after 5 o'clock on the 8th or the 10th or whenever it is, but I would like for you to have the material read by the close of that day, by the time I post that video. The video will be posted sometime during that day, hopefully earlier rather than later, but sometimes I get held up a little bit, okay? So you need to have read that. Then you'll see the video, the lecture on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is simply Guy Litton. That's it. I've got dozens and dozens of videos up there. You can troll around if you want to and see what's up there. But you'll get the links by email or in the announcement on Canvas for the videos each time I post a video lecture. So you can go straight there, or you can simply bookmark my YouTube page and always know where to go, and you'll see what's been posted recently. I don't tend to post anything other than class stuff, okay? So this is the only class I'm teaching now, so you just look for the newest postings and you'll find our videos. If it's not there, it means I hadn't posted it yet. But I'll send it out by email and usually on the announcements. You'll notice that I do lectures on Mondays and then on Wednesdays. That's because I want to keep your weekends fairly free. This may be a fairly fast pace for some of you guys, but I need to do that to keep the weekends free so that you can study, so you can read ahead, and that you can do the bigger assignments like the term paper and the review, review of the scholarly work. You'll read through here. We've got Lecture 1, which is New England Voices Part 1. Lecture 2 is New England Voices Part 2. Lecture 3, we're going to cover the early novel in America. And Lecture 4, we're going to cover autobiography. So we're getting into some different, doing poetry, some prose, some autobiography, some fiction of different kinds. Then we're going to get into a theme. Lecture 5, marriage in short fiction. So if we're going to do short stories, I thought, well, let's do some short stories that deal with a theme that was a very important theme to a lot of women, especially in the 19th century. And then we're going to do 20th century, early 20th century poetry in Lecture 6. Lecture 7, we'll do 20th century fiction. And then you'll notice here that we're not going to have a lecture on July 31st. There's no reading, no lecture for you on July 31st. That gives you a chance to write your term paper because it's going to be due fairly shortly thereafter, okay? Or it is due, I should say, on the 31st. So there's no reading, no quiz. for the day on which your term paper is due. Lecture 8 is Southern Humor. I thought that might be a little fun to see some Southern humor. Love Flannery O'Connor and Eudora Welty. Hope you will too. And then Lecture 9 is going to be, we're going to do your scholarly work review is due on that day. There will be no lecture on that day. Okay, so on August the 4th, your scholarly work review, right, your book review basically, of a scholarly work in literature is due on that day. And then our final formal lecture is lecture 10 on trauma and remembrance, and we'll do, that shouldn't be Hurston, that should that should be Toni Morrison there. The Bluest Eye, I'll correct that and send that back out. But Morrison's The Bluest Eye is then, and the final exam is due no later than 1 second before midnight on August the 9th. Okay, so that's a review there of the syllabus and what you can expect. One final note here, and I'll cut this off and send it up. And that is, I'm using Canvas for the very first time. So far, I don't like it very much. But then again, I didn't like Blackboard very much either, so maybe that makes me a big complainer. I am still learning all the ins and outs. Right now, most of the course content is going to be delivered on my YouTube channel. Most of our correspondence is going to be by email and announcements. I still am trying to figure out the grade book. I'll do my very best to keep the grade book posted if I can figure it out. But my recommendation is for you to keep the best record possible on your own of how well you're doing in the course, especially when I return things like papers and the book review. Things of that nature, okay? I will usually post the answers to the quizzes after they're done, and you can know on your own. But till I figure everything out on Canvas, it's going to be a little bit, okay? I'm a little rusty. Don't really know it very well. It's not a terribly user-friendly system. This may be your first time too, so we'll just be patient with each other and hope to have an interesting learning experience on both ends. So always feel free to contact me if you've got questions or need help with anything, and I'm looking forward to having a great semester with you. Thanks.